Continuing Caesar from Plutarch's Lives, translated by John Dryden, revised by Arthur Hugh Clough. And it looks like we'll finish it with this program. The most remarkable of human coincidences was that which befell Cassius, who, when he was defeated at Philippi, killed himself with some dagger he had made use of against Caesar. The most signal preternatural appearances were the great comet, which shone very bright for 7 nights after Caesar's death, and then disappeared, and the dimness of the sun, whose orb continued pale and dull for the whole of that year, never showing its ordinary radiance at its rising, and giving but a weak and feeble heat. That's an odd one. Why was that? Air, consequently, was damp and gross, for want of stronger rays to open and rarefy it. The fruits, for that reason, never properly ripened, and began to wither and fall off, for want of heat, before they were fully formed. But above all, the phantom which appeared to Brutus showed the murder was not pleasing to those they considered to be gods and goddesses. The story of it is this: Brutus, being to pass his army from Abydos to the continent on the other side, laid himself down one night, as he used to do in his tent, and was not asleep, but thinking of his affairs, and what events he might expect, for he is related to have been the least inclined to sleep of all men who have commanded armies, and to have had the greatest natural capacity for continuing awake, and employing himself without need of rest. He thought he heard a noise at the door of his tent, and looking that way, by the light of his lamp, which was almost out, saw a terrible figure, like that of a man, but of unusual stature and severe countenance. He was somewhat frightened at first, but seeing it neither did nor spoke anything to him, only stood silently by his bedside. He asked who it was. The spectre answered him, "Thy evil genius, Brutus, thou shalt see me at Philippi." Brutus answered courageously, "Well, I shall see you," and immediately the appearance vanished. When the time was come, he drew up his army near Philippi against Antony and Caesar, and in the first battle won the day, routed the enemy, and plundered Caesar's camp. The night before the second battle, the same phantom appeared to him again, but spoke not a word. He presently understood his destiny was at hand, and exposed himself to all the danger of the battle. Yet he did not die in the fight, but, seeing his men defeated, got up to the top of a rock, and there, presenting his sword to his naked breast, and assisted, as they say, by a friend who helped him to give the thrust, met his death. And I'm reminded about how at the last day, you can call it, there'll be like a smoke in the sky. Whether this is going to be just pollution is going to be so bad, or whether it's going to be volcanoes or some sort of impact event, or nuclear war, or something else that we don't even know about yet. I do think something like that's going to happen, and humanity's survived stuff like that before. Certainly sea level rises we've survived. But we can sort of learn from the material nature that what we're doing isn't pleasing, right? Or it is pleasing, because it's like, well, nature is what it is. And if you do this, nature's going to respond in this way. And I mean, it's not entirely some gospel prosperity thing like that, because people make one mistake of a type and they endure horrible consequences for the rest of their life. are, maybe that's not quite the way to phrase it as a universal thing, but you know what I mean. And other people seem to make these mistakes all the time and never seem to endure whatever. But it's the same material nature that makes it possible for both. Now, most people, it's in between, right?